All right, it's going to be a little bit of a different video, mainly because I'm doing it while I'm walking back from the library on this nice little Sunday afternoon, and I don't know how to make an audio file and transport it into the video on YouTube. So I'm just making a regular video, hold my phone upside down so you can actually hear me. So you're gonna be having some pretty crazy ass views. But I wanted to make a little bit more of these because I have a lot of thoughts as I'm walking around. Oh, excuse me. And like I said, I don't know how to make those videos, and I try to also make these videos while having my headphones in, but I don't know how to get the audio to go from my phone to my headphones through the Bluetooth, because I'm pretty much a caveman. You know, I'm pretty wise. I know when I know, but technologically, if I can say that word, I'm pretty fucking basic. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, I don't put a whole lot of effort into a lot of these new things. You know, I barely know how to use Microsoft Word and Windows, so it's kind of not to bear with me on that one. Hopefully, one of these days, I'll be able to join the 21st century when it comes to technology. But I got a lot of thoughts. Been having a lot of thoughts these past few days, or just for a while. I mean, past few days, honestly. Obviously, I'm on this channel. I mean, talking about a whole lot of seemingly random things, but there's a lot of things that get on all of my mind because I don't really talk to a whole lot of people, honestly. You know, I never really have. Never had too many friends. I've always been able to make friends. You know, that's never really been something that's been out of the realm of possibility for me. It's just being able to keep them and build those relationships, knowing other people are going to sabotage them, or even shit, I might even sabotage them. A lot of times I do that to keep them safe, because I know the world that we live in and how people are, especially where I live in Cleveland. You know, a very bitter, envious, jealous city that it is. You know, I always know that. It's hard to maintain these types of things for me, so I don't really have a lot of people close to me. So these videos are literally the most words I speak in a given day. You know what I'm saying? If they might be all the words I speak out loud on a given day, which I think is a good thing. I think most people talk too much, and they're just yapping. A lot of it's pretty empty. I think that's the reason why my words hold so much weight, because I don't speak a whole lot. You know, so I make sure my words mean something. You know, when I say something to someone, a lot of times I was thinking about either that conversation or that subject for a while and regurgitating it in my head over and over and over and over and over again until I get like the right sentence made, and then it comes out, and then, you know, the rest is history. But this kind of, you know, taking inventory of why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, you know. So I truly don't believe we have free will. And hopefully you guys can like see it. I know it's upside down, but you know, there's going to be a lot of cars, and might be a few people. You know, I'm not taking the normal street that I take to get back to where I'm going, because there's just so much going on. There's way too much things for me to process that I don't need to process right now. I'm already processing so much on a daily basis that I just don't need to do it. So I'm going down a road that's a little less traveled, literally. It's going to take me where I need to go, but it's just going to be less stuff for me to process. So just doing to see stuff, just doing to see people walking. Just going to see people doing things that's going to be a little out of the ordinary, because, you know, the situation that I'm in, and people are just kind of either taking inventory, looking around, or part of it, or just trying to keep the peace, whatever. Like I said, I'm not trying to make too many assumptions. I just expect the worst, hope for the best. But I know a lot of people, they do rock with me, they do fuck with me, and I fuck with them back. So hopefully at the end of this, I can start to live the life that I've been trying to slowly, piece by piece, build for myself and for everybody else, so we can get past all this nonsense. But just trying to take inventory of what was going on. And like I said, I truly don't think there's free will at all. Like, people keep talking about how things are fluid and how things kind of change, which is true, but we, as the egotistical monkeys that we are, think that we have way more control over things than we do. We have no control over anything, honestly, truthfully. And because of that, I believe that everything is set. There's no fluidity in anything that we do from like a nature, from a biological standpoint. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? If everything was fluid, we will have way more control over things than we actually do, which wouldn't make sense if that were the case, because then how would you be able to justify all of your bad decisions or decisions that you didn't want to make if things were as fluid as you wanted it to be? You know what I'm saying? Why don't more people win the lottery? Why don't more people make better, financial or relationship decisions, or insert anything that you would think people would do better if things were fluid? Things cannot be fluid. And it's because of that. It's the reason why there's actually balance in life. You know what I'm saying? If things were truly fluid as people say they are, and how egotistical and how selfish people are innately, things would just be completely chaotic. You know what I'm saying? Things would just be so one-sided, so lopsided. We would have taken ourselves out. We wouldn't even have lasted more than maybe 100, 200 years if things were as fluid as people wanted to be. So I never really believed in that. I always knew that things are just kind of set. I know my story was set on July 18th, 1993, and nothing that's going to happen in between then and the end of that story is fluid. It's all set. It was all supposed to be set. And that's kind of how life's always been. So when I see things from that perspective, from that lens, it just makes what's going on make a lot more sense. And it gives me the clarity that I need to continue doing what I've been doing and not letting up. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that what I'm doing is needed. What everyone's doing is needed. No one's doing anything wrong. Just gotta change your perspective and look at it from a different lens. You know what I'm saying? So many people are kind of stuck with this victim mentality, that they want to be right and other people wrong to make themselves feel better. Since the majority of us, and even I'll put myself in that category, at least for the majority of my life, are emotionally unregulated. You know what I'm saying? We didn't get our emotions met, our emotional needs met. So we're kind of walking around trying to do that in real time while also dealing with the chaos, which is, a futile battle for most of us. Most of us will never really get to that point of getting to that regularity, getting to that peace, that true peace. The peace that we're trying to constantly create for ourselves doesn't really exist. You know what I'm saying? We always want what we can't have, but that balance. You know what I'm saying? To where things don't get too high, things don't get too low. These just kind of have a very, very natural flow to them. Things don't really get out of hand. Most people never really fully experience that, at least not long term, unfortunately. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Like I said, I'm taking the road technically less traveled, but there's still a lot of cars and traffic, even though it's a little bit later in the afternoon on Sunday. There'll be a lot more people out here, honestly, if it was a different day. So I'm picking a good day to do this. But yeah, it's just so many people are kind of psyching themselves out and making this a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. But that's their path. Hopefully they'll move on from it and continue doing what they need to do. They're going to, regardless if they want to or not. At the end of the day, I'm not believing any of this. No, it's part of the grand scheme of things. You know what I'm saying? I don't see myself as anything special. I'm just doing what I was put on this earth to do, like everybody else. So this is anything that I'm really gonna be too proud of, or think that I am anything, like I said, special or too set apart in any meaningful way that we kind of put in our heads. I'm just doing what I'm doing, making the most of it, but just kind of reminiscing of how, I haven't been able my entire life, been able to do the things that I wanted to do. Once again, going back to everybody wants what they can't have. I've never really been able to have too many meaningful relationships, friendships, connections with people because of the world that we live in. You know what I'm saying? I know just by seeing people who are kind of like me, kind of like my doppelgangers in a way, in different parts of the world, they're experiencing a lot of the same hardships as I am. But at the same time, they still were able to make some semblance of meaningful connections with people, family members, loved ones, build those connections with people to an extent. I know what's going on with me is more environmental. It's not a personal thing with me, because I know every time when I made my travels video, I might have spoken a little bit, but every time I go out and I go outside of Cleveland, go to these other bigger cities, I have absolutely no problems making connections with people and talking to people openly, honestly. And I know it's not a Dimitri thing. It's very much an environmental thing where this is like Cleveland, I might have said this in a different video, it's like the hyperbolic time chamber. One day here, it's like a year someplace else. You know what I'm saying? You get a lot of shit done if you truly are meaningful and conscious about it. But at the same time, it just costs so much. It takes so much out of you. That's one of the main reasons why I have unconsciously and non-consciously been doing what I've been doing, is I know something good is going to happen, come out of it. I'm just hoping I get to at least enjoy a decent amount of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping no one takes me out before then. But I know I'm here until I'm no longer needed. So I'm not really going to duck anything that comes my way. Never have, never will. Never say never, but that's not the person that I am, because I know everything that I do is towards that goal. People don't understand it. Most people don't understand it. Unfortunately, slash fortunately. So I appreciate the people who do. But most people don't really get the things that I do. They only see the nuance of what I'm doing. Even if I try to communicate that with them, it's wasting my breath, kind of spinning my wheels. Because they'll never really, they don't want to nor need to really understand me. That's not in the cards for them. So I'm not really going to try to force my way into that kind of space with them, because there's no need. That's what I want. I would like to be understood a little bit better, but clearly I don't need to, because my blessings don't stop from being misunderstood. If anything, that's part of I guess the process of that is being misunderstood kind of brings your blessings towards you. So you just gotta kind of stay the course and keep doing what you've been doing, and be unapologetic about it. But taking that stance of not believing that anything is fluid, that everything is fixed, that everything that has happened was supposed to happen, and how you view it as kind of how you're going to pretty much your perspective is pretty much everything at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's not a whole lot to really do about things that are fixed. You know what I'm saying? They are what they are. Things are what they are. Living things are what they are. You can't really change that. You know what I'm saying? you can do what you can do. You're always going to do what you're going to do. But say, you've been working with someone for a long time and you're trying to get them to change their habits. You're working with 3 people. 2 of them, aren't super receptive to it. You aren't really going to change a whole lot. And the one does. That was always going to happen. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing you could have done. You can't make a save, go back, change a couple of things, and then all of a sudden all 3 of them are changed. That's not how the world works, unfortunately. I wish it was like that. Yeah, honestly, I kind of don't. Actually, that'd be a lot of chaos. That was how things worked, but at the very least, and that gives me a lot of peace knowing that the reason why things have kind of transpired the way that it has is because how things are just fixed. Things are how they are. That gives me a lot of clarity, puts me at ease. Things are just progressing how they're supposed to progress. And we as a species are always going to do what's for the best for us as a whole. You know what I'm saying? So all of this is for the best for everyone. So that's why I'm very, very thankful for my role in this. Not only what I'm going through currently, but everything in life. You know what I'm saying? Everything that I've experienced. If I would have told people everything that I've done during my adolescence was leading up to this, everything leading up to this. I literally planned for everything that happened to happen. You wouldn't believe me. You would not believe me, unfortunately. The vast majority of you would not believe me that some kid would have predicted subconsciously all of these traps and these setups and everything that I've been through. And I've kind of known it was going to happen. I knew who was going to do it. I know when it was going to happen. And I acted accordingly. You won't believe me. Like I said, most people would not believe that there's no free will because they want to believe that things can change, and it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I think I said in the previous video, I'm going to keep saying it too, for my own sake, that courage is something that you can just obtain, something you're born with. It's literally something that's part of your genetic makeup. So, not believing in free will, I should say, takes courage to let go of those things that you want to believe in and truly just let things be. That takes courage. A lot of people don't have that. So, fortunately, this is what it is. But we are moving towards a world with more courageous people. I see that every single day. More people are having more courage to say the quiet things, quiet part out loud, to bring light into the darkness, and to truly continue, help this world spin and get out this dark ages, you know what I'm saying? And it does warm my heart, because I know I get most of my social media from YouTube. The rest of the stuff I don't really mess with too much. It's a little too self-serving, All social media is self-serving to an extent. I feel like YouTube is a little bit more educational, and you can kind of finesse the algorithm a little bit more to kind of get you what you need to better yourself, versus all the other ones where it's just like more of a race to the top, rat race to the top. But I got my algorithm set up to where I'm just seeing people that show their courage, you know what I'm saying? Show that they see the world similar to me, It's something that I needed truly, because I didn't have that. And if I only had, what my parents had, was basically the people in your environment, I wouldn't have the amount of courage that I had, because like I said, courage is something that you're born with. You still have to, I guess put it to the test, you know what I'm saying? To really see what you're made of, put yourself out there and really kind of, I'm trying to be blanking on what metaphor or phrase I can use, but at the same time, you basically have to train yourself to really get the maximum courage out of you, if that makes any sense. And that's what social media did for me, was I wasn't afraid to find that knowledge out and to truly see the world of how it is. at least get closer to it. I don't think we'll ever, as humans, as egotistical monkeys that we are, apes that we are, we're ever going to get to that point of truly understanding that. Like I said, we just think so highly of ourselves and so not so highly of everything else that isn't us. That we'll never really get to that point, but we'll get close. I believe we'll get to where we need to be as humans, and that's going to be good enough at the end of the day. But I just know there's so many other living things that kind of know what it really is out here, and we're just playing catch up at the end of the day. But allowing myself to feel what's going on and not pass judgment, not only on myself but on other people, even though I know I want to be angry, I want to do a lot more than what I'm doing right now. Truthfully, I truly do. That's something that I want in my I just want for me, just to feel these emotions that are there, kind of truly get those out. That's something that I just been I guess yearning for. And I know that that's once again very self-serving. It doesn't actually move the needle any further. When it comes to keeping the world spinning, just it makes me feel better in the short term, which gets me nowhere, unfortunately. But that's part of the human condition. It's part of who we are. We will constantly be kind of setting ourselves up for failure because of how we feel, and our emotions and all that fun stuff. So I appreciate the challenge of those emotions, what those emotions bring in my daily life, in my daily day-to-day, because that's pretty much all it is. Most things in life are tests, and unfortunately a lot of people don't really pass them the way that they would like to, at least how their ego would like them to. I know I was definitely one of those people for a while, but now that I accept things for what it is, it's like I already know that I'm gonna get what I need to get regardless of how I feel. So do your worst, not too upset about it. But this my main goal is consciously right now is just to kind of bring light to what's all going on here, because I just know, especially from the places, going to the places that I've been and visiting them and talking to the locals, I know this can be so much more than what it is right now. It can be so much more. And the only reason why it's like this is because the people who are here don't know anything other than what this is. So many people here, especially our elders, the people who are supposed to get our wisdom from, people who are supposed to lead us to a better future, have barely been outside of Ohio, barely been outside of Cleveland. They don't know anything else. They don't know anything better. So how are they supposed to do anything if this is all that they know? You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's just like, man, we kind of set ourselves up for failure, and the only way for us to really get out of it is with people who aren't even from here, who don't know what this is. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we can see something a little bit better and bring new, fresh ideas out here to get us out of this rut, keep us from spinning our wheels. Because at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're doing. Just continuing to do this nonsense, sabotaging ourselves. And no, it's for a greater good. You know what I'm saying? This is all kind of sacrifice we have to make. You know, that's kind of what Cleveland is. You know, a lot of people don't want to give us the credit that they know that we have rightfully earned. But at the same time, it's like that's what's needed. Kind of keeps us locked into reality. Not in La La Land that so many people are in, when you got kind of live in those echo chambers, societies and cities. They just kind of have a very self-serving view of the world. You know what I'm saying? It's not truly how people really live. It's just kind of how the people in those environments live, and they just kind of project that onto everybody else. Think that, oh, you should live that way. You should live that way. Everyone should live this way. Like, no, not really. Unfortunately, what you got going on isn't really built to last. A lot of what's going on in this country was never really built to last. You know what I'm saying? If it was, everyone who wasn't a white man would have had a kind of a say in it. You know what I'm saying? Because unfortunately for them, they're not even the majority in this country, but not even the majority in the world. Truly, you know, if you want to look at who white people actually are, you know, Benjamin Franklin and I think Thomas Jefferson as well, they excluded so many people who are listed as white. You know what I'm saying? The Irish, the Italians, some of the people in the further, and like the Scandinavians, they were never considered white. You know, hundreds of years ago, they would have never been allowed to have the rights that they have now. But since the people who came after them saw what was coming, like, oh shit, we need more and more people, and it's allowed all these other people who would have never been, who never have and never will be truly on their side. They will never have that solidarity. The Europeans have always been fighting. They've always been at war with each other. There's no place on this planet where Europeans aren't going to draw the line in the sand when it comes to, you know, what they do, how they carry themselves, etc., etc. So expecting that to be something in America, and to have that be on some separation type shit, it was always doomed to fail. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like they were like getting together to truly do what they claim to do, like preserve their history, this, that, and the third. It's like, no, you're just doing it to keep what you have. Because if you didn't have the solidarity, you didn't have these numbers, you would have completely gotten outran long time ago. So that's something I'm seeing every single day, and that's kind of why the people, at least in my current situation, it's all over the country as well, are throwing temper tantrums because they know their way of life is coming to an end, and it's needed. You know what I'm saying? Very, very much needed. So many people are suffering unnecessarily. I mean, if it's all necessary, but you get what I'm saying, because of a small minority of people who think that they can just run things however they want to run it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing. All of it's a beautiful thing. At the end of the day, all good things must come to an end. We had a pretty good thing going for a while, pretty decent amount of time, but it's like it caused a lot of suffering from a lot of people, and unfortunately, because of that, all things that have been happening in nature have been kind of conspiring against you. And that's kind of what it's led to. So it's what's needed, and honestly, like I said, I'm very glad to have my place in it, because it just gives me all the vindication, the validation that I need, and I know that everything that I've done was leading up to this point. So I don't need to look outwardly from myself to be like, hey, is what I'm doing what's truly needed? Is what's going on right now with me part of this overall goal, this overall plan? You know, there's no point to second guess myself. You know, I very rarely did that. You know, I've always been a pretty confident person what I was doing, but there's been times where there's been so much chaos and so much people crying, to lack of a better word, that I kind of like might hesitate a little bit and be like, whoa, hold up, maybe, you know, slow down a little bit. But for the most part, I've been pretty steadfast in what I've been doing, at least when it comes to like the situation that I'm in. And there's just been a few instances where it's like I gotta kind of like slow down and be like, is this really what I need to be doing? Do I need to pivot here? Do I need to pivot here? Make this a little adjustment here. to get better results. And that's kind of how I've been carrying myself. And my blessings have been continuing to come towards me. So I am doing what's needed. So there's no point in being second guessing myself anymore. And that's what I'll be doing moving forward, is just being more consciously aware of what is needed by everybody and everyone. What everyone does is needed ultimately. So there's no point of questioning it, no point of making assumptions. Just kind of let life live, you know what I'm saying? Let people do what they gotta do. Let all things do what they need to do, so we can all kind of move forward. Keep this bad boy going. So at the end of the day, none of us are needed outside of our purpose. There's no point of, extending that any longer, at least consciously through our egos. It's things are going to happen the way they're going to happen. There's no point of going out to the ocean and punching the waves or crashing against the shore. It's going to happen. The waves don't care how you feel, my guy, unfortunately. My guy, my girl, so whatever. I think things are going to transpire how they were always supposed to. There's no point in putting up a fight. So it's kind of how I'm moving right now, is this full acceptance of what things are and how and where I fit in and how things are. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I'm just coming to that peace, having that regularity in my life to where things are just making a lot more sense. Like I said, every single day I'm just doing things to really make that, to manifest the world I'm trying to live in, the world I'm building and helping build. And that's the end of the day. That's what it's all about, and using the tools at my disposal to keep me regulated, because unfortunately, the best and the worst thing about having a life is that you kind of have to process a lot of what's going on, even though a lot of it's, theater. A lot of it's pretend. Still got to process it, be like, hey, why are they doing this? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? You know what I'm saying? Because everything happens for a reason. And if you can't decipher and process it there in the moment, in real time, it might be time to reflect on it, change your perspective, and kind of get look at it from a different lens, a different viewpoint. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it happens for a reason. All these things kind of went down for a reason, so it's like, kind of have to go from there and truly take everything that's put in front of you and be like, all right, this is clearly part of my blessing, part of what I need to see and to do, and everything in between. So it's like, it's something that I definitely am more conscious of now, versus just letting myself do it unconsciously and kind of float around, kind of disassociating. And one of the tools that I use to get that clarity is video games. And I've seen a few videos that I believe that video games is one of, if not the greatest human invention in history. You know what I'm saying? Because the empathy that it builds, that it has the potential to build. Not all video games are created equally, like not all pieces of art are created equally. At the same time, man, there are some games that have been created that have had some of the greatest storylines, built some of the greatest lore. You know what I'm saying? It's helped people through so many hard times that you can't get in reality, because you have a life, and your life is just doing so much misdirection, so much confusion, so much lies, that it's hard to really tell what is the truth from the false, the real from the fake. You know what I'm saying? To kind of keep your sanity and truly try to see the world for what it is. And like I said, there's so many people who are doing really, really good work in that video game space, who are doing that, who are making sure that the truth is being told, and people do get to see things from a different lens, view things from a different perspective, that they never would have had a chance to in their day to day. So I'm always very, very thankful for that, because it kind of led to what this is now. It led to me having my perspectives that I have. So I didn't experience them in different ways, and I would have never been able to in my environment. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a very jealous, very envious city. People would have never gave me the opportunity to do that. So I'm glad that through this different tool, through this different media, I was able to see things I wasn't able to see and process and to experience in my own environment. And that's the reason why I advocate for them so much in my personal life. You know what I'm saying? I don't really talk to too many people about it, so I don't have too many people to talk to about it. Unfortunately, I do, but I'm stuck where I'm at right now. I can't put the cart in front of the horse. I have so many chances to build relationships with people that I couldn't fully fall through with because of the situation that I'm in. You know what I'm saying? I would have completely spazzed out and crashed out years ago if I would have put in the effort that I'm trying to put in now or in the near future and have people sabotage you. I definitely would not have reacted well to that. I know I would not have. So I had to kind of keep a lot of this stuff to myself, because it would have been self-serving to kind of just go against the grain. Like I said, go in the water, punch the waves, keep it from crashing against the shore. I can't do that, you know what I'm saying? This is the world that I live in. I kind of have to make the best of it. So I spend a lot of my time living the way that I wanted to live, doing the things that I needed to do in these different realities, you know. Video games is like the ultimate escapism. But if you play it right, literally, you can live the life that you always wanted to live. Truly. As the rain starts to shine. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. We're getting close to where I'm at. And I'm about to turn it back on me. Kind of put a bow on this as I walk back. This is, main bullets and points. I'm not even sure what I'm gonna call this one. Like a random yap sesh or something. I don't know. But the main thing is things are predetermined. Things are not fluid. Things are set. Everything happens for a reason. We are all doing things to lead for a better world for everyone, all of us. Even the people you don't personally like, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what's going on. The sooner we accept that, the sooner that we can kind of get to our consistent peace, you know what I'm saying? That day-to-day peace. But yeah, y'all take it easy. Appreciate everything that you're doing. All of you, no matter what side of the line you're on, I appreciate you. We're all going for the same goal. We're just taking different paths. And yeah, let's keep it going.